headlines of VTV News. State President Tô starts visit to Laos. Solutions needed to address labor shortage in Mekong Delta. And NATO begins F-16 delivery to Ukraine.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Pham, and here's the top news of the hour. State President Tô arrived in Vientiane on Thursday morning, beginning a two-day state visit to Laos at the invitation of General Secretary of the Lao People's Revolutionary Party, LPRP Central Committee, and President of Laos Thongloun Sisoulith.
As his first overseas trip since taking office, State President Tô visit demonstrates Vietnam's consistent policy of prioritizing the strengthening and nurturing of its great friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation with Laos. Welcoming the Vietnamese State President, General Secretary and President of Laos, Thongloun Sisoulith, congratulated him on his election. The two leaders reaffirmed that they always give the highest priority to consolidating and cultivating the great friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation between Vietnam and Laos. They will also continue to effectively implement high-level agreements between the two sides, enhance consultation on strategic issues, promote exchanges at all levels, and review and improve the effectiveness of cooperation mechanisms. In addition, both sides agreed to promote economic, security, and defense cooperation. State President Tô affirmed that Vietnam will wholeheartedly support Laos' 2024 ASEAN and APA chairmanship.
On Thursday morning, chaired by Prime Minister Pham, the government standing committee met to discuss investment policy for the high-speed railway on the North South Alps. After careful research considering the opinions of the previous government standing committee and international experience, the Ministry of Transport currently recommends investing in a high-speed railway line with a design speed of 350 kilometers per hour. The railway will be about 1,540 kilometers long, passing through 20 provinces and cities, with a goal of completion by 2035. In his concluding remarks, Prime Minister Pham requested relevant ministries and branches to clarify and deepen the political, legal, and practical basis of the project. The Prime Minister also asked competent agencies to focus on researching and clarifying solutions to ensure synchronization, connectivity, utilization, combination, and promotion of the effectiveness of the existing transport system and methods. He also emphasized the need for diverse capital mobilization methods. On July the 11th, the state audit celebrated its 30th anniversary and received the first-class labor medal. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn attended and spoke at the ceremony. He emphasized that the renovation process over the past 40 years has led to significant achievements of historical importance, providing the country with a strong foundation, potential, position, and international prestige. This success includes the positive contributions of the state audit sector in managing and effectively using the budget and public assets. The National Assembly Chairman suggested that the state audit should continue to improve in performing their functions, tasks, and powers, and strictly implement principles, laws, regulations, and rules. He also stressed the importance of training and building a team of cadres with solid professional qualifications, skills, and ethics. The National Innovation Center, or NIC, of the Ministry of Planning and Investment coordinated with Google to launch a program called Building Vietnam's AI Future with the aim of promoting and the development of the artificial intelligence sector in Vietnam. The program focuses on two main pillars, building talent and building enterprises. It is estimated that Vietnam currently has roughly 300 AI experts in its workforce. The program will train Vietnamese officials, lecturers, and students in artificial intelligence to equip the young generation of Vietnam with the latest AI skills. For Vietnamese enterprises, the program supports the startup ecosystem from the early stages. Southeast Asia, including Vietnam, has the potential to earn up to $835 billion from AI by 2030. Since the beginning of the year, Bắc Giang province has achieved impressive economic growth. The growth rate of gross regional domestic product reached 14.14%, marking the highest level on record. This outstanding growth can be attributed to the province's effective policies, particularly those aimed at supporting human resource training and recruiting a large workforce capable of meeting the demands of foreign investment projects in the area.
This Chinese company has recently invested an additional $330 million in expanding factories specializing in assembly products for Apple and other tech companies in Bắc Giang province. The company's main concern is human resources.
Bắc Giang province's leaders directly brought our business delegation to other provinces and universities to recruit workers. Thanks to that, our company has been able to recruit more highly qualified employees.
FDI inflows into Bắc Giang province have solidified its position as a top destination among localities in the northern Midlands and Mountains region. Recently, provincial leaders have guided businesses delegations to recruit both unskilled workers and high-quality personnel from other provinces.
The company provides financial support to workers from other provinces like myself, covering monthly expenses. This support allows me to work here comfortably.
Many foreign enterprises with good employee benefits chose Bắc Giang as their station. I believe I can access bright career opportunities when working here.
We review information about the employee benefits and supervise the implementation to ensure that the enterprises in Bắc Giang province fully comply with their commitments to the workers.
Recruiting workers is primarily the responsibility of businesses. However, with the close support of local leaders, this task becomes much easier. This highlights the effectiveness of the local authorities' measures.
With a population of over 100 million people, the domestic market has great potential to boost the consumption of agricultural and aquatic products. If domestic agricultural products can be sold in large and stable quantities, it will create opportunities for Vietnamese agricultural products, especially during times of significant fluctuations in the world market. According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, the annual agricultural output creates considerable pressure during the peak harvest season. This includes over 42 million tons of rice, nearly 19 million tons of vegetables, over 12 million tons of key fruits, over 7 million tons of various meats, and over 9 million tons of aquatic products. Therefore, connecting the production and consumption of agricultural products, especially high-quality ones, contributes to boosting domestic consumption and solving the output issues for agricultural products alongside the export channel. The One Commune, One Product program, or OCOP, has entered its sixth year with more than 13,000 products certified as 3-star OCOP products or higher. However, among them, only 42 products achieved 5 stars, which means they are typical outstanding, and representative of the country. This year, the evaluation criteria will be tightened so that all products, once assigned 5 stars, can truly represent Vietnam's image.
This is one of the 5-star OCOP products that have just been re-recognized 3 years after first being granted stars. Even though it has achieved the highest ranking for OCOP, this vermicelli cooperative has never stopped developing. Its factories are regularly upgraded with modern machinery to launch new product lines. The cooperative also focuses on upgrading raw material areas according to market requirements.
The certification is an honor and a source of motivation for our cooperative to continue to make better products. Currently, the market is moving towards organic products, so we are mobilizing people to farm organically.
This year, only 4 out of 55 typical food products sent by localities were granted 5-star OCOP certificates. These products are all distinguished by their diverse designs and packaging, their ability to cater to market demands, and their environmental sustainability.
We have registered for trademarks in both Vietnam and other countries to protect our brand.
While getting certified is difficult, keeping it is even harder, especially when 5-star OCOP products are supposed to go beyond local boundaries, becoming products that carry the image and represent the country.
Localities and businesses need to maintain the quality of 5-star OCOP products and even increase it so that these products have long-term value and can represent Vietnam and be sold to the world.
Each OCOP product contributes to the prestige of the locality and reflects the efforts of authorities, businesses, and people. Therefore, maintaining and improving OCOP products requires greater awareness from those directly involved in making them.
And before we move to the next part of VTV News, let's check out how the Vietnam dong is weighed against other currencies in the world market today. Coming up next, World Population Day observed in Vietnam. And solutions needed to address labor shortage in Mekong Delta. Over the past 30 years, Vietnam has made significant achievements in population work, contributing to socio-economic development, poverty reduction, and improving people's quality of life. On the morning of July the 11th, the Ministry of Health, in coordination with the United Nations Population Fund in Vietnam, organized a rally in response to World Population Day. Since 1993, the mortality rate for children under the age of 1 has decreased from 43.3 to 12.1 per 1,000 live births in 2020. Average life expectancy has increased rapidly from 65.5 years in 1993 to 74.5 years in 2023, higher than in many countries with the same level of per capita income. Despite many positive results, Vietnam's population work faces several challenges. The nationwide replacement fertility rate is not sustainable, with a trend of low fertility rates emerging, increasing gender imbalance at birth, rapid population aging, and insufficient attention to population distribution and migration management. Many businesses in the Mekong Delta are worried about the lack of labor for agricultural production in the last quarters of the year. The large agricultural, forestry, and fishery production regions face a labor shortage because factories in the southwest mainly produce seasonal products. When the season ends, workers leave to find work elsewhere. Therefore, information and connections to match labor supply and demand are solutions that the localities are particularly interested in.
To process 500 tons of raw fish per day, this business needs about 6,000 workers. Despite posting recruitment notices for many months, the unit has only recruited less than 60% of the needed workforce.
Most workers only want temporary work and do not want to stay with a company long term, so it is very difficult.
Preliminary statistics show that each locality in the Mekong Delta is currently lacking between 3,000 and 10,000 workers. Both unskilled labor and highly skilled workers are scarce in this area.
For example, there are no schools that teach staff how to cut and check the quality of durian. Teaching them from the beginning for us is very difficult.
From now until the end of the year, the province will organize 23 trading floors to connect businesses and workers, allowing them to meet and create effective job opportunities.
When raw materials are low, the factory must share with labor, and vice versa. This needs to be strictly implemented to ensure the labor source for production in the last quarter of the year.
On the other hand, businesses are also trying to implement more attractive remuneration policies to attract workers.
In my factory, I instructed that if any worker's salary was less than 8 million VND, I would replace the manager. The income must be high so that workers can perform better.
The production, processing, and export characteristics of factories in the West are seasonal. Without a stable labor supply and demand forecasting strategy, the problem of shortages and surpluses will persist indefinitely.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development organized a forum called Public-Private Partnership in Developing the Multi-Use Value of Forest Ecosystems and launching the National Park Passport Initiative. More than 100 delegates discussed solutions for developing non-timber forest products, organizing linkages in the forestry product chain, developing forest environmental services, forest carbon markets, and forest ecotourism. At the forum, one of the first memoranda of understanding on public-private cooperation was signed between the Forestry Department and Suntory PepsiCo Vietnam. They agreed to cooperate in planting large timber forests, native trees, and fuel trees, and to implement the Forestry Semester program. For the first time, the National Park Passport Initiative is being piloted, allowing tourists to accumulate points when visiting any of the 34 national parks in Vietnam to receive prizes. The average number of children per woman of reproductive age in Ho Chi Minh City is among the lowest in the country, and this figure continues to drop at an alarming rate. If 10 years ago, an average woman in the city gave birth to 1.68 children, it is now only 1.32 children. The risk of an aging population caused by declining birth rates was flagged as soon as the city entered the golden population period, when more than 75% of the population was of working age.
As soon as she wrapped up work, Phương Thanh hurried home to take her daughter to dance class. She and her husband had planned to have a second child when their daughter was 3 or 4 years old. But the pandemic, work issues, and health problems caused the plan to be put on hold.
My mom keeps saying that she doesn't have time for another child. Her hands are full with just one, so 2 would be overwhelming.
I am getting older every year, and I know my health is not good enough for another child. I also know that having only one child means they carry a heavier burden in the future. I have to ensure their education and also plan for my future so as not to burden them.
One factor for this is an increase in secondary infertility, such as childbirth at older ages and abortions. This trailer has been shown in 40 CGV cinemas in Ho Chi Minh City. This is the newest part of the creative communication campaign that directly impacts young people.
The decision to have children, to have 2 children or not, lies with the couples. If they understand this, they are more likely to agree with our birth promotion policy.
This is how Ho Chi Minh City is implementing comprehensive and synchronized solutions to encourage childbirth. The city aims to resolve this issue promptly before the pressure of an aging population becomes too overwhelming.
Vietnam is the most affordable country in the world for expats, ranking first among more than 50 destinations when it comes to personal finance. This is the result of the latest survey by Internations. The ranking surveyed more than 12,500 workers working in 53 countries and territories. The ranking criteria revolve around the categories quality of life, life stability, work, personal finance, and essential needs. Besides the first ranking in personal finance, Vietnam also ranked quite high in working conditions for expats and essential services such as digital life, housing, etc. Internations is a community of workers working abroad with more than 5.3 million members coming from more than 400 global cities with a high level of reputation. Thừa Thiên Huế has been severely affected by natural disasters, climate change, and rising sea levels. In recent years, this area has faced various types of natural disasters. To address this, local authorities are accelerating projects to respond to climate change.
Under the influence of extreme weather caused by climate change, in recent years, coastal erosions in the city of Huế has become more frequent and serious, especially during the dry season. To cope with this situation, Thừa Thiên Huế province has built and completed an embankment system that stretches across the district of Phong Điền, Quảng Điền, Phú Vang, Phú Lộc, as well as Huế city.
We are glad that we now have these embankments. Thanks to them, we can live a stable life during the storm season.
In recent months, Thừa Thiên Huế province has invested in many projects to renovate the canal system to increase resilience to climate change. One of them is Phổ Lợi Mộc Hàn Phú Khê drainage system.
80% of the drainage system has been completed. We aim to wrap up construction by August 30th. This project will help reduce the risk of landslides in many areas and improve the view.
Utilizing different capital sources, Thừa Thiên Huế province has invested in reinforcing about 81 kilometers of the embankment system along its rivers and 2.6 kilometers along the sea coast to prevent erosion.
We will continue to submit reports to the government to apply for financial support to deploy anti-erosion projects.
Climate change is expected to cause unpredictable and negative impact. Therefore, investing in and upgrading natural disaster prevention measures is considered essential for many localities to respond to climate change.
Coming up next, NATO begins F-16 delivery to Ukraine. And WHO calls on related parties to avoid conflicts near medical facilities in Palestine. NATO member states have announced that they have begun delivering F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine as promised. The announcement came as NATO leaders were meeting in Washington, USA. United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken confirmed that a batch of F-16 fighter jets from Denmark and the Netherlands were on their way to Ukraine. At the NATO summit, NATO leaders also pledged to provide at least 40 billion euros or $43 billion in military aid to Ukraine over the next year. A large NATO aid package for Ukraine is also expected to be announced in the coming days. Earlier, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov stressed that Moscow would closely monitor all developments and decisions made at the NATO summit. Recent tensions in the Gaza Strip have severely affected Palestinian health care. The World Health Organization has called on all parties to avoid conflicts in medical facilities. More to follow.
The World Health Organization WHO Regional Director for the Eastern Mediterranean, Dr. Hanan Balki, visited the occupied Palestinian territories to review the health situation firsthand.
not only is healthcare access and provision is an extreme challenge, what we see here right now is the devastation of at least 70 incursions that have taken place since October, leading to significant destruction of the environment.
Phie visited East Jerusalem, West Bank, and Gaza from 30th of June to July 10th, where she met with health officials, health partners, donors, WHO staff, and health workers and patients to discuss challenges and find ways to strengthen coordination for health response.
We're here in Jenin in the northern part of the West Bank. And unfortunately, since October last year, we've seen an increasing number of hostilities all over. This has resulted, for example, in more than 480 attacks on healthcare. Healthcare always needs to be protected.
Key area of focus were advocating for the protection of healthcare, scaling up health worker capacities in medical supply chain, and addressing funding shortages affecting the health response.
The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, has just released its July report, in which it raised its forecast for global economic growth this year to 2.9% from the previous forecast of 2.8%. OPEC's report noted that growth momentum in major economies remained stable in the first half of 2024, and this trend is likely to continue in the coming months. OPEC also emphasized that the global economy will continue to grow steadily at 2.9% in 2025. According to OPEC, world oil demand is forecast to increase by 2.25 million barrels per day and 1.85 million barrels per day this year and next year, respectively, unchanged from the forecast in the previous month's report. OPEC's global economic growth forecast is thus higher than the World Bank's recent forecast, which in June forecast global economic growth to stabilize at 2.6% this year. In response to the European Union imposing additional vehicle tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce announced that it will launch a formal investigation into trade and investment barriers against relevant regulations that the EU has applied in its anti-subsidy investigation into Chinese companies. The investigation will mainly focus on products such as locomotives, photovoltaic equipment, wind power, and security inspections. The investigation will end on January the 10th next year, but may be extended by 3 months under special circumstances. Trade relations between the EU and China have escalated in recent months after the EU announced temporary tariffs on electric cars imported from China. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Goodbye for now.